And as I look around this audience, I see a whole bunch of folks who were in the audience in 2006, and 2012, and 2018. So just thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the help you've given over the years. Look, where to start and where to end? Well, we'll just kind of play it by ear, okay? But if you'd have talked to me a year and a half ago, and they said, what do you think about this race, John? And I said, it's going to be a close race. It's going to be a tough race. It's going to be a race where we have to work our tails off to be able to win it. And nothing has changed in the last year and a half. It's the same race. It's the same race we thought it was going to be. There's a few differences, but the bottom line is that if we're able to work over the next 23 days, they tell me, then we have the ability to win this thing. And I'll be honest with you, there's been a lot of national polls out. The fact is, we poll every damn week. This is a race where I go up, I go down by 1 or 2 points, depending on the week, depending on who answers the phone, and depending on whether they tell the truth. And so you going out, being able to visit with your neighbors and the folks you work with, the folks you go to church with, the relatives you like and the relatives you don't like, you're going to be really, really important going forward, really. And you don't have to spend your life doing it. You touch a few people, that's all you have to do. And if you're able to do that, it makes a big difference for me. Because the truth is, nobody wins a statewide election alone. It takes a team of people, and that's a fact. It doesn't matter if it's me, it doesn't matter if it's Ryan Bussey, it doesn't matter if Repke, I'm going to forget somebody, it doesn't matter if it's Shannon O'Brien, it doesn't matter if it's Jesse James Mullen, it doesn't matter if it's Ben Humke, I got them all. The truth is all those folks need help, and it's a big election because every statewide race is on the ballot this year, except the junior senator. And so, anything you can do would be a great help. As you guys know, Billings is huge, electorally in the state of Montana, the biggest. And so the work you were able to do here is really, really big. And so you might ask yourself, John, I've been out on doors, and the first thing they ask me is something about UTAX and Medicare, or something about white farmers, or something about boys and girls bathrooms, or something like that. Let me tell you something. You don't have to take my word for it. The fact finders have found all that stuff to be lies. Truth is that I am one of the most effective senators in the United States Senate, always in the top 3. And I'm also one of the most bipartisan senators in the United States Senate. By the way, those two go hand in hand. That's why. Because I'm just like all of you guys. You guys are all Montanans, you understand. We built the state by working together. We didn't build it alone. In fact, I dare say to anybody in here, if your neighbor had a problem, you'd probably quit what you were doing and go help them. And that's exactly what Montanans do. And that's exactly the attitude I take back to Washington, D.C., because I'm there to try to get things done to keep this state, the greatest country in the Union ever exist on earth. So, thank you all for listening. I'll also tell you that in all the elections I've had, I don't think there's been greater differences between myself and my opponent, to be honest with you. So you always want to believe what people say if they don't think the microphone's going, okay? And my opponent said that he wanted to purely privatize healthcare. Now, I don't know if he knew what the hell he was saying when he said it. But this is not just privatize healthcare, but purely privatize healthcare. That's a whole new level of privatization. And the truth is, the folks in this room, there's a couple, you're probably on Medicare. I know you look a lot younger than that, but the truth is, if we don't have government support for that program, that's a government program. It goes away. We did the Obamacare, some would say, they don't call it that much anymore, but we did Obamacare. We had people call my office all the time and say, keep your government hands off my Medicare. The truth is, it's a government program. And it's worked well. The only thing we do need to do is we need to make sure it's around for future generations. Not only this generation, but for our kids and our grandkids, and it's really important. But if you purely privatize it, it goes away. And that's not a good thing for anybody, especially not if you're in Montana. The second thing he said that was pretty interesting is that he said that we ought to turn our public lands over to county government. And I was at this too, which is, or maybe it was rich buddies who want to buy it. But the truth is that our public lands are worth about $6 billion a year to our economy, thousands and thousands of jobs. But even more important than that, It's our ability to be able to go out and have a quality of life, be able to go fishing and hunting and not have to be a millionaire to do it. Some of the best fishing and hunting spots in this country or in this state are on our public lands. And some of you probably know where they're at. And I want you to let me know where they are before they. Yeah, exactly. But the truth is, he also served on the board, not part of a group. He served on the board of a group. The efforts are to privatize our public lands. When you file for a position like the United States Senate, you have to fill out a disclosure on every board you belong on. He conveniently left that board off. Why would you do that? When he cut an ad, he wore a shirt with a perk on it. They blurred that out. Why would you do that? I can tell you why they did it, because that outfits out to privatize our public lands, which is counter to everything that is good for the state of Montana, quite frankly. And then there's this little initiative, a constitutional initiative that's on the ballot called CI 128. It deals with, I don't know if you guys ever heard of that or not, but it deals with a woman's right to make her own health care decisions. And I'm going to tell you, if you want a United States senator or a judge or a bureaucrat to make this job, he's your man. Make that decision. The truth is that that decision needs to be, these are complicated, complex decisions. They're not easy under the best of circumstances. The people that need to make that decision is the woman, that's you, if you're a woman, and in consequence, your doctor or whoever's you want to consult with, then you surely don't want to have big government looking down your throat, taking away your freedoms. And this, by the way, Roe v. Wade was adopted in 1973. I was a junior in high school. It is the biggest removal of freedom in this country in my adult life. And that is fact. And we cannot let that happen because we happen to be a state of Democrats and Republicans, all of which are libertarians. And we don't want the federal government telling us what to do at any level, or the state government, by the way, especially not as important a decision as this. And so, what did my opponent say? He said, not only do I oppose that initiative, I don't even think the people of Montana should be able to vote on it. This is crazy. I mean, it truly is a little bit, let's say it's crazy. Okay? What kind?
I said bad shit.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. All right. At any rate, and so it's really important. This is important election. And like I said, I need your help. And if you give me the help like you did in 2006, 12, and 18, you know what's going to happen? I get 6 more years to help you guys be all you can do. All right? Please do help. You know, I've got. The next generation, everybody says, these next kids, by the way, they said it about us too, when we were kids. They said, this next generation, they don't want to work, they're not in tune with things, they don't understand what's important. I'm going to tell you what I've found quite the opposite. One of the most refreshing things I do is talk with young people. Those are people under the age of 30, by the way. And those folks, man, they got it figured out. And I got a ton of young folks here. Thomas, you're not part of that group because you're But the truth is, we got a ton of young people that have come to this state to work. Some of them are from this state, they're working. And they're doing it because they believe in things like freedom. They believe in things like healthcare. They believe in their public lands. They believe in all the things we believe in. And they're doing it. They come here and they do just an amazing job. And I want you all to give them a round of applause. Some of them are here. There's one last thing I want to touch on before we all get up and scream and holler and say, go to John. And that is that politics may be the only profession that the more experience you have, the bigger liability it is. Now, I'm going to give you an example. If you're going to go to a doctor, let's say it's a dentist. You're going to have a dentist and, you got a bad tooth. You're going to get the dude who's just out of school, only if that's the last resort. You want to get bad. Or you're going to go in and have your ticker work on. I want somebody that's been there before taking a peek at that stuff, because I want to make sure they do the right thing. In politics, and some of you heard this on the door, they say, but Tester's been there too long, So let's talk about what that really means, okay? What that really means is that the guy who's chairing the Veteran Affairs Committee, the committee that has given our veterans toxic exposure benefits and health care for the first time ever in this country, by the way. First time ever with toxic exposure for veterans. The guy that wrote that bill and shepherded that bill through, he ain't there anymore. And somebody, in this particular case, that's never held public office. And I'm going to tell you something, doing policy and doing bills isn't something that is normal. Okay? Any of you guys ever served on a school board? I'm going to tell you, I got a really quick education on the school board, because on the school board, if the statement you got 2 ears and 1 mouth is true, it's absolutely true. Because if you don't listen to people and you try to do the best for the kids, you know what they're going to do? They're going to meet you in the parking lot. And I'm telling you that is the same thing in Washington, D.C. If you don't realize that you ain't right all the time, and they ain't wrong all the time, and there's a sweet spot to get things done, it really makes it hard to do. That experience matters. Whether it's chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee, or whether it's chairman of another committee, which happens to be Defense Appropriations, which, by the way, as you all know, appropriates over half of all of the appropriated dollars that this country appropriates. It's for our nation's defense. It's to make sure we've got a deterrent for the bad guys that are trying to come after us. By the way, what it also does, when they rebuild the missile silos out of Great Falls in north central Montana, Great Falls and Lewisdale, and you have something that you want to get their attention on, they're going to listen to you, okay? You get somebody from Hawaii that's doing that, they'll listen to people from Hawaii from a Hawaii perspective. But look, when they're talking about building man camps in Great Falls and Lewisdale, and I said, why are you guys going to ship in a bunch of containers? Why don't we build some houses here? Have people get good quality of life. Give the jobs first to Montanans, not give it. They'll earn it. But make sure they're available to Montanans first. And then the folks that want to leave and go with you in North Dakota to build silos there, that's fine. We still got houses left over for people to live in. It can be a win-win deal. By the way, we're getting some pushback on that, but we're going to win if I'm allowed to stay, because we're going to be negotiating with those folks all the time moving forward. But it goes further than that. You might not believe this, and I don't exactly know why this is the way it is, but in the defense bill, there's billions of dollars for research, health research mainly, but also battery research, energy research, all the things that are important to our great state. Making sure those dollars apply to places like Montana is really critically moving forward. So here's the real crux of this. When I got to the United States Senate, you know who's the chair of that committee? Ever hear of Ted Stevens? Ever hear of Danny Inouye? Those were the two chairs. Those folks were in Congress when I was born. Okay? It's a true story. Well, maybe not Inouye, because the state was in 58, I think, but shortly after I was born. And the truth of the matter is these positions go to people who have experience. And it takes a while to get the experience before the people respect you and put you into those positions. So this is all really important. So if they say you've been here too long, say, well, that gives Montana better representation in Washington, D.C. The forefathers were genius. They set it up so every state had 2 senators. So we, a population of 1,100,000, have the same representation in the United States Senate as California with 38 million people. California ain't too happy about that, but I think it's pretty damn good. So it's really, really important that we take advantage of the opportunities that are there.